Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning to those joining us online. We're delighted to have you in our virtual community this morning. Well, I have a question for you. How much good can you receive? Okay, good answer. But I'm going to invite you, if you want to play with me a little bit this morning, to close your eyes and ponder with me. How much love can you receive before it gets uncomfortable? How much health can you receive? And what does that mean? How many friends can you have before it's too many? How much money? Is there a limit? What about opulent gifts? Is it comfortable to receive those or not so much? How about creativity? Expressing as new and actionable ideas. Is it exciting or is it scary? And what about peace? Can you be peace and accept it in every area of your life? How much is enough? You can open your eyes. Do you know that all of those thoughts you were just thinking about are your mental equivalent for those things? The limitations that came in, the conditions that you put on any of that are the limitations that you hold. Whatever you're thinking is in your mind, though, isn't it? Because we didn't all have the same thoughts there. They were individualized and unique visions or feelings, just like each one of us is individualized and unique. Yes? It's not in spirit. It's not in the universe. Those are unlimited. It's only here. It's only here. My message today asks, is faith a choice? Is faith a choice? What do you think? Now, in my research, I found some theology that suggests that faith is a gift from God that's only available to certain special people, and that it is God's grace revealed, but it's not for everyone. Well, that didn't really resonate with me. I then found some research that says that it is definitely something we can cultivate, something we can grow in our lives. And I also found it very interesting, the bias in AI towards Christian theology about questions about faith and many other topics. But that's for another day. We're not going to talk about that today. When we think about how we experience life, most of us have ideas in our minds about how much is enough in all areas, and we live our lives accordingly, don't we? We live our lives according to what we believe is enough. So the question is, are you going to the well of life with a thimble or a bucket? What is that mental awareness that you have about enough for you and in your life? Perhaps it's a thimble for some things, and other things it's a bucket, because nobody can have it all, right? That's just not possible. We create these containers in our mind, the shape and the form, about from our faith and from our beliefs. And we hold those beliefs about ourselves and about how the world works. And usually we're pretty good about that, aren't we? Because whatever we think is what the world is doing in that moment. When we did that exercise, did your thoughts include things like, I have enough. I'm comfortable. I'm okay. I love you guys. Or did it maybe say, I can't take more than my share? I have enough. There's an author called Wallace Wattles. Anybody heard of him? He wrote prosperity teachings in the 1900s, early 1900s, and he's very practical wisdom in the way he writes. And he says about this, the very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. And this is because when we learn the principles, when we learn the teaching, we can then give back, right? We can then give back. We build the infrastructure. We can feed the hungry. We can create the companies that employ the people to lift them up because we have learned, and it is our responsibility, in his words, our responsibility to then share and give that to others who are not learning and who do not know the teaching. But somehow, this message of our success in making the world a better place has gotten a little confused sometimes, hasn't it? Because it seems to be that there's a belief in a limited God. Now, I don't know where that came from, but there seems to be a belief out there that the pie is only so big. The pie of good of life is only so big, and I better get mine first before everybody else gets theirs, or I can only take a little bit because there won't be enough for everybody, right? Do any of those thoughts come into your mind? Do you ever act that way? Well, the fact of the matter is, there is an infinite pie kitchen out there, and the pies just keep coming, right? It's unlimited. But those thoughts are thoughts of limitation. And when we have them, we need to be aware of them and remember we live in an unlimited universe. There's always more pie. There's always more pie. Ernest Holmes, of course, is the author of The Science of Mind that we teach, and he says about faith, regardless of how exalted it may be, it is only a definite way of thinking. Broadly speaking, faith means a conviction about something that is stronger than anything which may appear to deny it. When we see the news and social media and all of that stuff, and all we see is all the bad things happening in the world, it can be it can be easy to get confused by appearances, can it? Because it seems like it's all bad. It's all negative. But faith is a transcendent principle, meaning that it rises above that and can see through that to the good in the world. There are good people in the world. We're good people, are we not? There are good people in the world, and there are good things happening in the world. We're just not hearing about them. We hear about that little bitty thin slice of bad news, and we begin to believe that it's all bad. And it's not. There is good in the world. Faith also helps us to overcome challenges and challenging situations that we may be experiencing. And it helps us to experience life differently when we have faith. But what do we have faith in? What is it that we have faith in? Is it the Santa God in the sky that's going to bring us the goodies if we do the right things, say the right things, and behave ourselves? Is that where our faith is in? For me, faith, I have faith in the way life works. I have faith in the way that life works. I have faith in a universal energy that is love. It is love. And I have faith in universal law that always works the same for all of us, everywhere, does not play any favorites. And just like there's physical laws, there are spiritual laws. And if I drop this pin, the physical law of gravity says it's going to go down and hit the ground, right? Now, if I turn my hand this way, is it going to go up? Not unless I throw it, right? But if I do it, it won't go up. It's going to go down because that's the law of gravity on this planet. And so we know how to use that. We design systems that flow with gravity downhill. So why do we fight spiritual law? Spiritual law works just like physical law when we're in alignment with it, like we are with physical law. So when I align with spiritual truth, knowing that there is a spiritual law that works alike for everyone and that I can use it, and there is a universal presence that is energy and love, life works. Life works. And for me, that's faith, to know that I know, to know that I know, and to have that sense of peace no matter what's going on. No matter what's going on, to be able to, is it Mary Morrissey? Penny brought a Mary Morrissey book in this morning. Reminds me of her quote, flick fear in the face. Yeah. You know, and when you have faith, you can begin to do that because you know that you know. Holmes also said, no one can have faith in themselves with the idea that he or she is separate and apart from the universe. We can only have this kind of faith and in such degree as we first realize our unity with a power greater than we are, a power that will never change its nature to suit the whims of our fancy. Thank goodness, right? Imagine that mess. And this is the gist of what the science of mind teaches about faith, and is it a choice? Now, when we were first talking earlier, we each have this mental container, the mental equivalence for going to the well of life, if you will, for receiving our good. The shape and the form of it are created by our faith and by our beliefs, our mental equivalents that we hold. And of course, mental equivalents are simply just the pictures that we hold, the vision that we hold in our mind about who we are and how life works. The things that we thought about this morning with those questions. How much can we receive? Those are your mental equivalents. How much can I receive? Now, you probably sense that faith is important as we're talking about this new design for living, right? Faith is kind of an important component in that. So let's look at this container that we've created and how we might adjust it if necessary. Faith is the material or the substance that the container itself is made out of. It's the material, if you will. So is it strong? Is it solid? Is it porous? What is this faith? Is it strong or is it weak and falls apart with the next headline? What is this faith that we have? How strong is your faith? And then what about the shape of the container? The mental equivalent that we hold in our minds, the pictures, the thoughts, the beliefs that we have, the limitations. That all determines the shape and the size of this receiving thimble or bucket that we have created for ourselves about how much is enough. Is it a wide mouth jar or is it a small mouth jar or a bud vase even? Wallace Waddles says you must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it for yourself. So the analogy that came up for me this morning was someone who lives in Nome, Alaska. Imagine that, Nome, Alaska. And their mental equivalents, how they believe life to be, and themselves to be living in Nome, Alaska, versus someone who lives in Honolulu, Hawaii. Do they have different mental equivalents, different beliefs, different experiences? Probably. The clothes are a lot different. The seasons are a lot different. The daylight and the darkness are a lot different. Not picking on either one of those communities by any stretch of the imagination, but just using it for the contrast that they present for how we establish our mental equivalents, our mental equals, and our bucket for what we can receive. Consider what you thought about how much you can receive. Did anybody hear it? Yeah, but. Yeah, but. I don't have the resources. I don't have the talent. I don't have the time. Anybody? Yeah, but. That's a limitation. It's a limiting thought. I call that thimble thinking. Thimble thinking, and no, I don't have a list, but it's thimble thinking. As long as we believe the universe is limited, guess what? It will be. Now, I don't know what you think about the guy, but does anybody think Elon Musk thinks the universe is limited in any way, shape, or form? I don't think so. And it doesn't have to be for us either, does it? It doesn't have to be for us either. We can develop bucket thinking. So how do we do that? How do we cultivate bucket thinking? Ernest tells us that faith is cultivated by making daily use of the principles of the science of mind. Now, you heard Jim ask that this morning in our gratitude practice. How did you use the right thinking this week? That's using the principles. And this year, as we're learning to design our lives, we are teaching the principles, we're learning, and we're applying them in our lives each week as we talk about these different things. Anybody heard the phrase treat and move your feet once in a while? Yeah. Well, this is prayer and action. This is prayer and action. And we have to pair our study with practical application. Otherwise, science of mind becomes very heady, doesn't it? Very intellectual. And we talk about how we have to embody it and get that into our heart where it becomes a living, breathing way of life. I think the cover of the Science of Mind text says a philosophy of faith and a way of living. And that really is truly what we teach is a way of living. So the best way that we can pair this study and application is to consciously apply what we're learning to our everyday problems, to the everyday disruptions that happen, the inconveniences, the guy in the traffic or the girl that cuts us off, all of the little inconveniences that we can apply the spiritual principles to. This approach to study and application is faith in action. Because as we study and learn the principles, we begin to develop faith in them, yes, and that they work, and that this universal law that we say plays no favorites doesn't really play favorites. How many people have watched karma show up? Someone pulls out in front of you and then somebody immediately pulls out in front of them. It's like, whoa, karma is quick today. So we see that the laws work. Wallace said, it is essential to have good tools, but it's also essential that the tools should be used in the right way. I told you, he's so practical, isn't he? I mean, he just is so practical. If faith is faith something we have or something we choose? You ever thought about that? Every day we place our faith in lots of things, don't we? Sun's going to come up. When I get on the freeway, they're mostly going to stay in their lanes and mostly go the right way most of the time, right? We have faith in that. That's huge faith, isn't it? That we all try to drive between the right lines. Do we have faith in our past? That that's just the way life is? Or do we have faith in our current circumstances and that's just the way life is? Or do we put faith in our fears? Are we putting faith in our fears? Or maybe, just maybe, we have faith in possibilities. We have faith that we live in this field of infinite possibilities and that anything is truly possible for our good. Every day we get up is a brand new baby day. Like Mary Morrissey must be channeling me this morning. It's one of her things, baby day. But we have that day. What are we going to do with it? What do you have faith in for that day? Is it going to be another day just like yesterday? Or is it going to be a new day, a good day? Where's your faith? Building our faith with flexible yet sturdy material so that we can continue to grow this mental equivalent, grow our bucket as we move through life. The faith that we have and what we believe is possible determines our experiences. The faith we have and what we believe is possible determines our experiences. The mental container that we're using to receive our good, that's constructed of our faith, takes the shape of our thoughts, whether they're big or little. Might as well make them big, huh? Might as well make them big. So this week I invite you to explore your faith. Ask yourself, how's my faith? What do I have faith in? Where am I placing my faith? What is the material of my faith? And ask yourself if you can receive. Can I receive? You know, I know when I first started in this teaching that receiving hugs was really weird. Anybody else? Yeah. It's like, you want to what? I don't even know you. You want to hug me? But then you realize it's part of the culture and the community. And I hug everybody now. I hug people in business now. I mean, it's crazy. Expansion. Receiving more. Receiving more. So let's talk about our spiritual practices for this week. To cultivate faith and think bigger. Now, Ernest, you remember, said, faith is cultivated by making daily use of the principles of the science of mind. So this week, for those of you who've been around for a while, we are going back to the 10 core principles of the 10 core concepts of the science of mind. We stopped teaching those for a while, and I think they're back again. But I'm going to invite you to read this list every day in your part of your spiritual practice and reflect on these concepts and consider how you're living them in your life. I have taken a bit of creative license with this to modernize the language a bit. For anybody that memorized these as part of your training, they may sound a little different. So the first concept is oneness. Oneness. Everything comes from one divine source, and each of us is a unique expression of that. Everything in threes, all express as spirit, mind, and body, the creative process. The creative power. Our thoughts help to shape our experiences. Affirmative prayer. Good is always available to us, and affirmative prayer helps us to align with it. It's not changing God's mind about anything. It's changing our mind to align with truth. Wholeness. We are whole and complete by nature, and our choices influence our life experiences. Abundance. There is more than enough good for everyone, and we are all worthy of receiving it. Like attracts like. What we consistently believe, expect, and imagine tends to show up in our lives. Forgiveness. Forgiveness frees us from the past and helps us live peacefully in the present moment. Eternal life. Consciousness continues beyond physical death. Death is simply a transition, a new suit. The Christ consciousness. This is the universal spiritual truth that lives within every person. Spirit within us. As always, this full list will be in the Mindful Monday newsletter. You can sign up for in the lobby. There'll be a QR code later or on our website to receive that. So these core ideas are transformative and will help us in designing our life going forward. If we can practice these every day. Just read this list every day to begin to embody this. You know these things, right? You've heard all this stuff before. But getting it under the skin, so to speak, so that we're embodying it. And then they begin to become the way that we live, the way that we see life, the way that we approach life, the way that we interact with others. When that happens, you'll no longer suffer from thimble thinking. So we'll close it out this morning with a quote from Thomas Aquinas, who said, "To the one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To the one without faith, no explanation is possible." And so it is. Would you join me in prayer, please? How good it is that we come together on Sunday morning to gather in community in the oneness that is the all, recognizing that there is one life, one power, one source, one love. We call it spirit, we call it God, we call it source, we call it universal energy, we call it love. It goes by many and no name. It is simply the allness that is, that which is before existence, that which created existence, and that which is forever evolving. And I know that I am a manifestation, a creation of this one, of this all. And that I am a unique creation, individualized and expressing it as my life, my choices, my desire, my design. And as I know that for myself, I know that for each of us gathered here this morning, that each of us are individualized and unique expressions of this divine and infinite love that loves so much to bring us forward into this time-space reality right here, right now, this life that we have. And I know that we're all, each one here by absolute divine appointment, no mistakes, no errors, gathered in this place this morning, in the celebration of life, in the celebration of love, joined together in faith and in truth. And so knowing that, the absolute wholeness of each of us in this community, I speak my word for and about us, knowing that as we embody this faith, as we cultivate it within our own lives, to build that knowing that we know in each and every experience, each and every appearance, that we know back of that is the good, is the God, is the love, the wholeness that is spirit. I know that we no longer go to the well with a thimble. We retire our thimbles to the sewing box. And we go only with larger and larger buckets to receive the good that is available to us to fulfill our responsibilities in the world, to be successful beings from the inside out, to create and share and grow the world, doing our part to bring the good to others. I know this morning for anyone that has anything on their heart that they seek prayer around, as they lift it into the consciousness of this prayer, that whatever needs to be healed is healed, whatever needs to be revealed is revealed with great clarity. If there is supply that is necessary, it is abundantly provided. And if there is a question of doubt, that faith is strong. I bless this community, this center. I bless our world. I bless our troops. I bless all who practice in spirit this morning, anywhere on this planet, knowing there are many paths to the divine, but there is only one. And so it is with a heart filled with joy and gratitude and thanksgiving that I release this prayer into the action and activity of law, knowing that it is done. And we affirm that truth together by saying, and so it is.